It's the Doves.
That's nice. Oh, that's nice.
Versus the Vultures.
Oh, no.
It's time for 3 Up, 3 Down. This is the Sports Source.
Welcome back into the Sports Source. This 3 Up, 3 Down segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Imagine watching Vols football and basketball on a great big theater screen in your home. NFL games, maybe you love movies in your household. That big theater screen is pretty sweet now. No one can build a theater room for you like Safety Systems. Call VFL JJ Surlis to see what Safety Systems can do for you in your home. SafeTsystems.com is the website. Check it out. They're more than security systems, I promise you. They do that great too, but boy, their entertainment systems are slick. Call VFL JJ Surlis this week. Okay. Each week we tell you the 3 guys who played the best for Tennessee and the 3 we thought played the worst for Tennessee. Doesn't mean that any of these guys are going to continue to play great or play poorly. Just one game snapshot. Sterling and Daniel, Team Sunshine. I start with you. Sterling, who's the up number 1 this week and why?
Man, my boy Evans, man, he was running the rock. I mean, he was running the rock. He didn't go down the first contact. He was pushing piles forward as he did go down. I mean, this got a guy who gave effort the entire time he was on the field. And it's something else that people didn't watch that I saw as a quarterback. He had an incredible blitz pickup. He had a couple of, mad dog blitzes. He stunned the linebacker coming in there. So, Evans, great game.
Good deal. All right, 121 yards, total offense, and 1 touchdown. Who's the number 2 up, Daniel Hood?
Number 2, I think you got to go with your offensive lineman, Cooper Mays, who really led Evans being able to have the success that he did. But their tempo that they had in the first half was better than they've ever had, how they're getting onto the ball, how they're aligning things. And, of course, you got to talk about the grit that he played with, playing through some injuries. Coaches probably should have taken him out a little earlier because no player is ever going to take themselves out of the game for an injury.
Not really.
I think that gets back to your depth issues.
Yeah, I think
they know.
But definitely 5-star heart. Good. But he played great too. Played great too.
All right, who's the number 3 up for you guys?
There were a lot of other great performances that we could have went with.
Well, now wait a second. I'm not going to let you.
Time out.
Great performances.
Alontae Taylor had a good one. He had a great quote at the end of the game.
His play at the end of the first half could have been huge.
Could have been game changing for the entire team. But I think the most important thing for any team is the leadership that they have. And I love Jeremy Bain's leadership that I saw on the sideline. Him and Hooker had a moment. They're jumping around, getting the team riled up. When you look at the end of a play, you always have this guy around it. I think that's going to be big, especially coming on later in the season. But it's good to see that type of leadership from someone. Now, does he take it a little too far at times? 100%. But it's a good start to it to see. It's almost like a young Jawan Jennings.
He's even Steven, but last night the up outweighed the down.
Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, so your ups for the day were Evans, Cooper Mays, and Banks. Let's talk about the downs and see if we have the same name on here somewhere. But down number 1 for my Vultures, Bob and Will.
We got to look at Callaway. I mean, really and truly.
We both said, let's play more him.
Speaking of toting the rock, first you got to catch said rock.
Exactly. I think they need to move the wide receiver room to a different room to get the bug of drops out of them right now.
And his drop was so huge.
You had a third down and a fourth down.
And then the 4th down play. I mean, just that literally took Tennessee's chances of winning away. I thought that drop.
And you had forever to run to. The one camera angle they had showed he was wide open.
Yeah, he may have not scored, but he was getting inside the 10 on that play. So it's a huge play.
And I've heard, people are, why can't Heupel coach these guys not to drop the ball? It's like, look, at some point the player has to do. That's like saying, how come you can't coach him to stand? Well, that's been 20 years of learning on his own, but there's not much you can do in terms of teaching somebody to catch a football.
Yeah, like I said, you got to move that room around, get somebody else in there as far as some juju or something needs to change in the room.
All right, who's down number 2 for you guys?
Well, they're up number 2s, they're down number 2. Cooper Mays, first time in history of the show, and it all comes down to the bad snaps. Because those are drive killers for Tennessee too, just like the drop passes, the bad snaps. Now, was he snapping poorly because he was hurting? He very well could. The coaches need to see that and get somebody else in there, because if your snap is bad, I mean, 8 times out of 10, your bad snap leads to a bad play.
And it was on third down. 2 or 3 of them were on third down, and it was immediately on the ground. Play was basically dead and done.
Yeah, over.
And so it was all, you're punting because of
And does it go back to we're playing an injured Cooper Mays because half of Cooper Mays is better than the whole of what else we got to bring in? So
I think so. They certainly left him out there hobbling for a long time. And he's also got an injured hand, too. It's not just the ankle. Will, who's down number 3 for you guys?
Elijah Simmons. The other big thing you can't do is if you're the nose tackle or tackle right in there sitting over the ball, you can't jump off sides, and you can't jump off sides twice. You've got to hold still. Now, I will say the linebacker walking up behind you should never pat you on the rear when they're right about to hard count. That's the worst thing in the world you can do. Don't do that. Don't touch them from behind when they're hard counting. That usually makes them jump. So you got to do that. So that's the other reason.
Pet peeve there.
Don't touch them when they're hard counting.
So sounds like something from the childhood in there somewhere.
That was pretty deep right there.
His wife hears him wake up and sweat in the night. Don't touch me when they're hard counting.
Old Street felt that one.
All right, very good. What did this game tell us about Josh Heupel, about the staff? We're a quarter of a season in, and this is obviously, we're going to be jumping the gun. This is the thing you need to look at 8 games in, 2 years in, 3. You're constantly updating this scenario. But we're a month in. You just played your first big road game, big SEC game. Have anyone's views on Josh Heupel or the staff changed at all? That's what we'll discuss with you next. Come on back on the Sports Source.